Although NFT is no longer new in the technology world, it is certainly a new track for the art world, the mass media, and the general public. But with the works of each type of NFT increase over the past 2 years, few people have pursued the definition of NFT itself. Once you try to search for its definition on the internet, you will be confused by other definitions. Discard of the confusions about the definitions. What matters is whether the participants can get a share of this new thing in this carnival. Obviously, this is a deviation from the understanding of the value of NFT, but this kind of problem is not the most fertile. After all, any new thing in the internet world will have a similar phenomenon at the beginning of the development, and eventually can be justified through the application. The real problem with NFT right now comes from the technology itself. It does exist on the blockchain, but simply contains a link to digital content, text, photos, videos, etc. Hosted on a traditional web server, a complete deviation from Web3's reliable core value. The simplest mode for NFT storage today is to store the NFT as a record, a file with a hash value on Ethereum, while the related content it belongs to text, photos, or videos, etc. is stored anywhere in the network. The reason is that it is not only inefficient but also extremely expensive to store on the blockchain. According to statistics, it takes $20,000 to store 500 KB of data on Ethereum, which makes it very impractical to store data on the blockchain, not to mention those exquisite high-definition NFT artworks. You may say you are rich and happy to spend a lot of money to store NFT on Ethereum, but that's not working sadly because the ERC-721 standard doesn't support abstract data storage at all. So when the NFT you mint or buy on some NFT platform disappears, you shouldn't be surprised. It's still a centralized hosting platform like Web2, not a real Web3 product. The answer can also be found in ERC 721. NFT is not commonly used standard. You'll notice that the standard does not intend to use image metadata as a key point for only an NFT. After all, it's metadata, which means it's designed to describe other data. Plus, it's also a multiple link, which means it can change. In October 2021, a computer security researcher named Moxie Moneyspike played around with this feature of an NFT, creating an NFT whose content would change when viewed on different platforms. Not only that, but the NFT platform may also delete your content and make it permanently disappear from your wallet. In short, these NFT platforms that advertise decentralization are not complete, and the essence of incomplete decentralization is still centralization. At this moment, the NFT you purchase is actually just a network link. In fact, you do not own and control it. When the platform goes down or stops service, your NFT will no longer exist. How should these problems of NFT be solved in the Web3 era? In the Web3 era, each user will have his own OOD for storing his own data and running his own application service. Just like smartphones in the era of mobile internet, this device will be the standard new smart device in the Web3 era. OOD nodes constitute the OOD internet working layer in the form of zones. Different zones are equal and decentralized, which together with sidechain layer and metachain layer constitute the whole CFS network. This will fundamentally solve the problem that traditional blockchain cannot store structured data. Here, each address of OOD can be traded by the data matching platform, and users can choose whether to back up data in multiple places or put data on chain according to importance of data, so as to ensure the reliability of data storage. At the same time, through the data exchange contract, the trusted computation takes place in a limited number of nodes, so as to take into account the availability of services, so that the data reading and pulling back become extremely simple. Here, each user will have his own digital identity and bind it with his own OOD. Each content can realize the right of data at the moment of uploading to the chain, forming its own unique NFT without relying on the existing centralized platform. It not only contains the basic information of the creator, but also binds to the ownership of the content. By identifying the owner and the content of the data, the CyberFS link can be generated offline with the confirmation information. This is a unique fixed length URL constructed based on cryptography. It consists of two segments. The first is the blockchain address to the data owner, and the second is the hash of the data. For most common data, the way to open a CyberFS URL is to connect the first segment of the address to the OOD of the data owner, and then use the hash of the second segment to request data from the OOD. The process is fast, and from the data owner's point of view, he has enough incentive to ensure the availability and the reliability of his OOD so that process can be completed. In this process, the way of data transmission will be completely changed. Disseminators and receivers will no longer need to receive information from the third party's cloud service, but become the communication between the OODs of both parties. Each NFT meanwhile in the process of transmission, no matter how many people forwarded the income balance to the creator. Of course, the value can also be distributed reliably through the copyright contract. For example, if your NFT, such as a photo, is excellent enough to be cited by an author in his article, its article itself is also an NFT, then you will establish a copyright revenue contract for the article with the other party, such as 10%. Then 10% of the income from the article will be directly reflected on the photo. That is, you will get 10% of the income brought by the other party's article. In addition, in the process of NFT transaction, the real transfer of ownership will also be realized, because once the owner changes, the corresponding object Unicode identifier will also change, which is equivalent to creating another object. Chain realize NFT transaction by supporting the transfer of income rights. Here is a practical example. My friend later became a celebrity, and a sentence I said to him through IM became part of his memory, and then the message object I created became part of the real history. It is a digital cultural relic, and the fact that I am the owner of this information object is also a part of this cultural relic. When I want to sell this digital cultural relic to an institution, it needs to realize through the transfer of income TX. When the owner object is created, the holder and the owner are the same person, and the transfer of the holder can be realized through the above TX in the future. After the holder is set, only the holder can initiate a withdrawal operation. The holder here is not necessarily a person, but can also be the contract. Through org contract and revenue transfer support, CyberFS provides richer support for NFT in the underlying design, so that the moment the data is confirmed, it can bring long-term value to the creator. Through this, we can actually feel that NFT is not far-fetched, nor is it only the hyper value at this stage. It should be a product that can fly into ordinary people's homes. In CyberFS, each content can be easily created on NFT with a right-click, generating CyberFS links, which require a dedicated CyberFS browser to open, and optional HTTP links, which can be viewed in a regular browser. The difference is that the latter is only used for sharing read-only mode, and cannot like, comment, download, pay, and other operations, which will greatly reduce the entry threshold of NFT, make it a popular Web3 product. This new design of CyberFS will free NFT from the current dilemma, and let the public truly understand the essence of NFT as a non-fungible token. The NFT trading during the transaction process should not be just a string of symbols pointing to the content, but it is the content itself. Each of our actions or transactions is a unique verifiable element, which is the most important definition of NFT: indivisible, non-fungible, unique. It is this unique actually that gives NFT the value of the original and the full state of the real.